How's it going, everyone? VenomousStare back with more of the Texas best of three. A best of three between four Texans, and currently up 1-0 is the Out Now clan, the blue team, Elusive Smoke and Savage Wood. And this game is going to be on one of the new maps. It has a very short rush distance and a very wide open three bases that are very hard to take. This little pillar here blocks, so they kind of encourage you to wall a bit, but can't really do that with Zerg. So we see Texas open up with a gateway, Rock Lobster, a hatchery first, Elusive Smoke cannon rushing as he likes to do, Savage Wood going hatchery first. So if we look at Texas's vision, he sees the pylon. He's scouting around. He was looking for it, so Texas was ready for the cannon rush. But here comes Elusive Smoke. He's going to be cute. Texas pulling a lot. Elusive Smoke, pylon and a photon cannon. He mineral tricks through. Does another pylon and another pylon. Loses his probe. And Texas really having no room to attack at all onto this cannon, because this little pillar thing is actually a wall. It's to help you wall in. And Elusive Smoke puts down another cannon. And if we look in Camp Savage Wood, he has a gas in a pool. And the cannon's going to finish. It's protected by pylons. So the second one will also probably finish. So we see Texas getting a cyber core this game. More cannons and more pylons from Elusive Smoke as we see Rock Lobster is working his way up to gas. And Texas is going to take his second gas. Rock Lobster again, he's making lings. This is a very different aggressive cannon build than what he saw last game. So Texas gets the one zealot out. This is smart when you're playing a cheesy player who's being aggressive. You always want to get the one zealot versus them. You don't want to skip it. Although it won't be particularly helpful in clearing this out. So two lings up here for Savage Wood attacking the base of the red player Rock Lobster. Savage Wood will easily be able to kill this expansion as it's already being attacked by the cannon of Elusive Smoke, and he's not even going to try. He's going to run up into Rock Lobster's base, but Rock Lobster has been making lings, and Savage Wood has to run cross map. So Texas is trying to kill this cannon contained, but he's going to get surrounded by Savage Wood, and Savage Wood's going to run into Texas's base and see what he can do. Texas is just now starting that mothership core. Savage Wood is flirting with being surrounded here, as he's going to get one pylon, which is useful. But Rock Lobster is going to run into the base and try to defend his ally. Texas, one robo finishes, one of his gateways finishes, and the third is up right with the mothership core. And Rock Lobster's natural is surely and steadily following. Savage Wood has ling speed, so he has the advantage, despite having the number disadvantage. He also has the drone advantage in a very real sense. He has the drone advantage. Texas is flirting with trying to take out this pylon again. Savage Wood tries to run up the ramp and gets confronted by quite a large army. And he'll lose that exchange, run back to the cannons, and even things out a hair. As we saw, Rock Lobster was trying to deal with the lings in the main. And Savage Wood's thinking about running into the main. He's going to damage one stalker, force a photon overcharge, and the red team's going to clean that up. So what do we see when it's all said and done? Rock Lobster very far behind in workers. Elusive Smoke not much better off than he is. Elusive Smoke has a cannon and he's getting some tech. Savage Wood has double evos and decent amount of drones, but Rock Lobster has an absurd amount of lings running across the map, as he's been pumping them all game, and Elusive Smoke just did not have a wall in. Savagewood didn't really have the appropriate amount of wings either. So Elusive Smoke is going to take severe damage here. He's going to go all the way down to 14 probes. The cannon dies. But we see Texas is dedicating a lot to clearing this out, losing a stalker there. And Elusive Smoke loses almost all of his workers. He has 6 left. But Savagewood's Lings are going to come out in time to save his tech, which is helpful because if he were to lose all this tech, it would be pretty much game over. He does lose the forage. And Rock Lobster still has the superior Ling count, but Savagewood has Banes. 1 Bane coming up, and at this point, Rock Lobster's pretty much trapped. Savagewood engages straight up. Elusive Smoke restarting the forge, which is helpful because it creates a choke. Savagewood running forward, cleaning out the Rock Lobster army. But if we go to units, Savagewood has almost double the drones of Rock Lobster and almost double the drones of Texas, who's just now expanding. But Elusive Smoke now is severely damaged with just 15 workers. So 6 roaches are on the way for Rock Lobster, and this is one thing you can do when you play very low econ. So if you fail a little Ling aggression, just make a handful of roaches. As you see Savagewood running forward here, trying to snipe this Immortal. Its shield ability activates, which obviously helps it live for 2 seconds longer, but Savagewood does get the Immortal, and that's big. Because in low econ games like this, when players are not on very many bases at all, 1 Immortal is a huge deal. Spire just now starting for Savagewood, as he has a 3rd base, a macro hatch, and he needs to be getting his 1/1 upgrades as his 4th gets online. So Rock Lobster is being aggressive with these roaches, and Savagewood, Bane's kind of out in the open waiting for Lings that are never going to come. And suddenly, since Elusive Smoke has taken so much damage, Savagewood is in a very bad spot. Elusive Smoke is mining from his gold. Savagewood's going to lose his infestation pit, and behind this Texas is mining and has a Stargate. Savagewood's going to try to run in and see what he can do. Running in with the Broodlings. The Spire is going to die before it can finish. Very bad for Savagewood, who's relying on those mutas. And Texas, after sniping the Spire, drops an offensive GG. He's confident this game will go to game 3, and Savagewood knows he can't defend this, so he counterattacks, which is potentially smart. And the alternative is not defending it. So he runs in, forces a photon overcharge, and then flees. Meanwhile, his pool is dying, his macro hash is in peril. He's building another pool and 3 spines. Savagewood has lots of speedlings out in front of the base of Rock Lobster, who has a nice little 2 crawler, 1 queen defense, but Savagewood's going to spring forward and hunt for expansions. As the red team, Rock Lobster and Texas, were in a great position because it was a very choke point filled location, so Savagewood trades a base for a base. He's going to force another photon overcharge before he flees, and Rock Lobster, scared of what might become of his main, is retreating. So Elusive Smoke here heroically musters out a few units and defends at the spine crawlers. Nice micro from Elusive Smoke, not losing more than he needed to. And Texas realizes he can full on commit as he runs into these 3 baller crawlers, and Elusive Smoke really is struggling to spend his money here. And he's going to become overrun. We just have 2 stalkers. Savagewood loses narrowly his Baneling nest right when his Lings finish. But here comes Elusive Smoke with a nice little Zealot flank. He's running very low on gas. He desperately needs to make workers and take his gases. But now Elusive Smoke is chasing a very low health Immortal. And these Zealots are going to die. But they get the Immortal. Nicely done. So oftentimes in team games, even if you're microing well, your units will crowd surf on your allies' units. And we see Savagewood finally with the Mutalisk in production, his Spire refinished, and +1 is also on the way for Savagewood as he's making a few Desperation Spines. It's a motley crew of Protoss and Zerg units here waiting for Mutalisk, as we see 1 Mutalisk finishing here, and virtually nothing that can shoot up here for the red team. as Rock Lobster's on extremely low one base econ, and Savagewood's going to focus the units that can shoot up the Stalkers, so Savagewood needs to recoil, because 5 Stalkers into 5 Mutas is a losing proposition for the Zerg. But Elusive Smoke runs forward, and so does Savagewood, and Savagewood has more than 5 Mutas this time. He's focus firing the Stalkers, and here comes Elusive Smoke with the Zealot flank, and Savagewood with the Link flank too, is that premature offensive GG from Texas might have been a little early, as we see Texas does have a Stargate in play to do with these Mutas, but he doesn't really have a whole lot other than that. He's on somewhat low econ, despite these somewhat successful pushes. He's lost his entire army. He does not really have a steady backbone of Phoenix. Rock Lobster's already behind. He's running around trying to snipe drones for Savagewood. This is intelligent. Savagewood just about even kill with the red team and workers, so if they can get him behind, it'll be very, very, very important, especially when the econ is this low. When everyone has around 30 workers and you start to lose workers, it's a way bigger deal. Speaking of workers, Rock Lobster is finally vacating this extremely mined out main, which is still oversaturated. Savagewood trying to fly in there because the hatchery was low, but there are multiple spores, and Rock Lobster is doing a good job. He's very behind, but he's running around trying to find and snipe expansions. This is what you can do with Zerg in team games even if you fall behind. Savagewood's going to do his best to deflect away the harass. Elusive Smoke has a Twilight on the way and more gates. He's also upgrading, which will come up big. Upgrades are another thing that comes up very important in low econ games. Bad news for Savagewood here is 4 Phoenix are revealed. He's not even able to pick off that pylon. And if you don't know, Phoenix counter Mutalists. Phoenix do bonus damage to light units. They can be easily microed with move commands, and they can be upgraded to have range, which makes them disgustingly good against Mutas and makes it where Mutas cannot ever really catch up to them. Elusive Smoke with the Zealot heavy army, +1. This will do very well against Rock Lobster, who does not have any upgrades, really. And the blue team is thinking about pushing in here, but Elusive Smoke has a ton of Zealots, not much else, which means he doesn't really have anything that can shoot up and help Savagewood. Savagewood is forced to try to engage the units that do the most damage to him, the Phoenix, and therefore ends up dying as Elusive Smoke and a Savagewood do not really have a good cohesive composition. And Texas has gone an extra Stargate in preparation for dealing with these Mutas. So now it's pretty much on Elusive Smoke, the Protoss player, to deal with these Phoenix, because Savagewood doesn't really have anything in his arsenal as a low econ layer based Zerg who's gone Spire to deal with these Phoenix. He can try to go Corruptor, but they'll be useless unless he has help. And oftentimes it can be assumed that a Protoss player who's going to go to Stargate is going to go, and Phoenix is going to go Fleet Beacon at some point to get the range. So Savagewood can't really just be stubborn and make Mutas here. Although it seems like that's what he's trying to do. He doesn't have much of a choice. But he's also making Corruptor, so he's going to try to go Muta Corruptor and maybe into Broodlord. Maybe into Broodlord. It's hard to tech to Hive after your main dies, and Savagewood's going to give it a try, as it's going to be hard to finish a game with Muta Corruptor when the Zerg already has that many spores, and the Protoss air is already so established. Elusive Smoke doing a great job of sniping bases, keeping Rock Lobster on low econ. Texas's third is just finishing. And Rock Lobster, as we see, has idle drones. And he's been obnoxious with Lings the entire time. But Savagewood is ready for it. Starts to lay tumors down to see the harass coming. And Elusive Smoke, meanwhile, is doing a great job. His blink just finished. He's powering on these gateways. This gold base is finished. He's in a good position with the watchtower, and these upgrades, he's 201. Especially these attack upgrades are going to allow him to pick and prod in this low econ game and blink away. Rock Lobster trying to attack the natural of Savage Wood, but his Hydras off creep get caught off by Elusive Smoke, and Elusive Smoke eviscerates 5 Hydras. That is a huge deal because Savage Wood is going Muta and other air units, and one of Zerg's best way to counter air units from Zerg is Hydras. So Elusive Smoke making these Stalkers worth their weight in gold, doing a good job sitting on this tower, watching his army and microing well. Savage Wood also is doing what he can to get map control. He has a decent amount of Corruptors out at this point. 6 Corruptors for Savage Wood. +3 on the way is with more Stalkers from Elusive Smoke. So he's going to be doing extremely efficient trades every single engagement, because he's going to do absurd damage basically every time he fights, and he's going to be able to teleport away anytime there's an advantageous position. So Rock Lobster's lack of upgrades really shining through here as he runs in obnoxiously on this base and can't really force the issue, and Elusive Smoke runs forward, and he's trading so effectively because he's 2-2 to 0-0. And we see that base get almost completely surrounded. Elusive Smoke had one nice little well-placed cannon, but that base going down very slowly because of the lack of upgrades. This can be traced back to the low econ nature of the game, the double one base investment from Rock Lobster. He doubled down after the Ling Bane, went Roach, lost his natural to the cannon aggression, and now Savage Wood is making a greater Spire. He also has a backup Spire on the way, which is intelligent. And he's doing his best to defend this harass. Elusive Smoke blinking forward brilliantly, picking off a handful of Phoenix while Savage Wood defends. So anytime Savage Wood is forced to defend with Ling aggression at the hands of Rock Lobster, you see Elusive Smoke picking and prodding, doing everything he can to get an advantage. This is so intelligent. He's also harassing with Zealots. Look at these Zealots chew through Zerglings. That comes all down to upgrades. I keep harping on it, but these upgrades advantage really is a huge deal. Although 1-1 at this point is done for the Red Zerg. Broodlord's on the way for the blue team. And what do the red team have to defend against it? Well, a handful of Phoenix and a little bit of Hydra. That's about it, though. These Phoenix aren't going to be the best without range and dealing with dealing with Broodlords, excuse me. So these Broodlords are going to trek across the map. They have lots of protection. And Texas has a little force here, but he's almost mined out. He does not have this base, as we see Elusive Smoke picking and prodding, attacking, blinking back, taking favorable segmented engagements. As we see, Texas is trying to attack and force his issue, but Elusive Smoke has too many well-upgraded Stalkers to turn a nose up at. And here comes Savage Wood picking off the Immortals, the well-protected Immortals. They're well-protected from the ground, not from the air. And the Broodlords come out. Texas says GG, or excuse me, Rock Lobster says GG. Texas already said GG, remember, right around here. But it wasn't in the way that he intended it to be. If you like 2v2, subscribe for more.